Well, hello and welcome to Fun Fantasy FPL. My name is Harry,
And I'm Stephen Berry.
and this week it's been quite a fun week actually, quite a high scoring week. The last three have been. So we're going to be reviewing our team performances. Then we've got a topic which is going to be around Haaland and Salah. Is it possible to go without? Are there ways of countering those players and things like that? Whether they are must-haves and whether it is possible to spread the money elsewhere and cover yourself with other players from those teams. But before we kick that off, let's review the week. So, yeah, Stephen, talk us through your week.
Well, I mean, the highlight was I got my captain choice right. So my highest points player was Watkins with 5. Other than that, it's ones, twos, and a couple of threes all round. I was out of 10,035,000 players. My game week, I was 9,800,000. So only 500,000, no less, even less than that. Only 200,000 players in the game had a worse game than me, which I think is pretty impressive. Obviously, I don't have either Salah or Haaland, which we'll get to later. But Barry, go on then. How did you do? I'm guessing you had an incredible week that you're dying to talk about.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty good week. I was just getting my score up now, actually. But I'm currently, just for the viewers of listeners, sorry, I'm currently in Corfu. So not with our specialist mic equipment at all. So sorry for the sound quality, but I am on eight. I scored 82 points. Obviously having Salah and Haaland definitely benefited me there, but also points from Isaac, Saka, a cheeky assist from Robinson, and Blacken's got me 3 points, mate. And
I know, I saw.
bench for 4. But you know this is the thing. Like his game week performance so far has been 4 points, 3 points, 3 points. It's not too bad for a 4.5. They're pretty happy. Concerns for me, Muniz. You know what? I don't really know what to do because he's actually gone up in price, which is odd for me. It's gone to 6.1 million. I'm assuming the run, but he hasn't done anything really. Came off 78 minutes against Ipswich. Additionally, I didn't get rid of him, but that's so I can have 2 transfers. And Makalenko, Everton, who have just been absolutely woeful. Being 2-0 up, I was hoping for our first clean sheet points from them. And then to go on to lose 3-2, I mean, that's just the most Everton story you can ever hear.
Yeah.
And Morgan Rogers as well. I mean, I know he's very exciting. Everyone's talking about him, but, 6 points in 3 game weeks. It's not ideal. So they're kind of all question marks in my books. Right? And Lewis Hall's not even starting. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, is Kelly? Is he 4 million?
Lloyd Kelly.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's 4 million, right?
Is Lloyd Kelly? No, so Lewis Hall's 4.5. I don't know how much Lloyd Kelly is. I'll look it up whilst you're reacting.
Yeah. Well, while you're looking up, I'll also look at my points. I think you definitely want to keep Muniz. I think the reason being is you're correct, is because of his run is very easy. He plays all 3 of the relegation candidates next. So he's got Leicester at home, Man U away, and then Everton away. So 3 of those will be in the relegation battle this season. He's got coming up. Obviously, a little bit of a toy there with Man U fans. So Palace's next 3 fixtures are pretty good. He then has Liverpool after that. So you probably want to get rid then.
Sorry, Stephen, stop this 2 seconds because you're talking about Muniz, aren't
you? Yeah, Crystal Palace. Who are you talking about?
Muniz of Fulham.
Oh, sorry. Well, guys, apologies for the mic there. Yes, you're talking about Muniz at Fulham, not Munoz at Crystal Palace.
No. Muniz, his run's over basically.
Yeah. Well, who have Fulham got there? It's Fulham have got West Ham, not at home.
West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Forest away, and then City, Villa, Everton. I mean, I was only really going to keep him till the West Ham game, but what I'm thinking about doing is dropping him down to João Pedro, taking Kunku up to someone else a bit nicer, and then if I really wanted to take -4, maybe booting out Makalenko.
Yeah, João Pedro's already gone up to 5.7. He looks to have the cam roll nailed down. I think when Ferguson comes back, he'll still play there. I mean, I don't. I mean, other than Vardy and Delap, there aren't really that many options that price range, are there?
I mean,
Um,
I could afford going from Nunez and Nkunku to João Pedro and Toma, who both have Ipswich at home and Nottingham Forest at home in the next two, and then Chelsea away, Tottenham at home, Newcastle away. So not great fixtures afterwards, but those two fixtures do look very tasty.
well, let's get on to the sort of the main point, because I think this reminds me about, you're talking about sort of cheap strikers. You could just go from 4.5 and not play them. The reason being is that as somebody who hasn't got either Salah or Haaland, it's been very painful. Now, I will say that I was wrong about Salah. I was wrong about Liverpool, as much as it pains me to say it. They do look good. Slot looks like a very good appointment, despite the fact they have a very old squad. They're looking pretty good. Yes, they've only played garbage so far. I mean, it was at Ipswich. Who did they have second? Do you remember who their second game was?
Well, what in on Brentford? Yeah, well they had Ipswich, Brentford, and Man United.
Yeah, yeah, but no, nevertheless, clean sheet, 3 wins out of 3. You can't, and they just look good. They just look solid. So I think, and as much as it pains me to say I was wrong about Salah, I think he is a must-have, and only Haaland back-to-back hat tricks. I mean, everyone's seen that crazy stat that he's already got the same amount of hat tricks in like a third amount of the games as Van Persie or whoever it is. So yeah, I think they are very much must-haves. Basically, I don't see how, even though I'm going to try this season to do so, they're just absolute points machines. Haaland's over double the next striker, which is Danny Welbeck, which is another reason why, Barry, maybe you don't need to have a replacement for Muniz. You can just have a 4.5 and play Haaland, someone else, and 3-5-2 for the rest of the season. Would that not be the best way of going about it?
Yeah, it definitely could be. I mean, what I'd hope to do is have 5.5 strikers because I mean, a bit of my fantasy football philosophy is I don't like players on my bench that aren't playing.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a 4.5, striker that's going to come off the bench and get a 1 pointer every week. I want players that actually play. So even if I've got a £5 million midfielder who, does play but rarely gets points, someone like Smallbone, Adam Lallana got an assist this week.
He did.
He did.
He did.
So players like that, who are actually going to play. Because if they do come off the bench because I've got a injury or a start I wasn't expecting, or a start, someone lost their place I wasn't expecting, I want to have some cover that's going to be actually playing the full 90 or at least a good portion of the game. So I don't really like having the deadwood on the bench. So yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'd probably have two 5.5s, Haaland, Salah, Saka or Palmer. This is if I was wildcarding, which is quite popular during the international break. And then maybe like a 7, a 6 or a 6.5, and then a 5.5 if I could. But it's difficult. Both players are so expensive. Haaland's 15.2 now, and Salah's 12.6. That's.
But you don't have to worry about that because you already have them. But yeah, people who are trying to get them both in, you really have to go now. I know there's an international break coming up, but it really is becoming now or never to get those two in.
I think it's hit the wild card time, surely. I mean, you've got 12 days inside your team, right? Wildcarding now would be quite a good option. There were a lot of people who were, pre-season were the game week 4 wildcard crew or something. That was going around on Twitter for a long time. But I think now is a really good time to do it.
I need to look more at the fixtures. I think when to wildcard, I'd like to do after the international break. One, you never know what's going to happen if you wildcard now and Haaland gets injured, Saka, so on and so forth. That obviously changes things quite dramatically. So I'd like to sort of have a look at the fixture run and see if there's any big changes. I think also, if I go through the league, are there any questions though? I think we know what Arsenal are going to be like. We know what there are. Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton, Chelsea, maybe a little bit of a question mark. Is there? I mean, I think maybe, but either way, one more game week. I think it's going to be pretty confirmed. Like, okay, they're going to finish in and around the top 4. They're going to finish in and around the top 10 relegation zone, etc. So I think, one more, especially if you have either Salah or Haaland. I think one more game week before you consider wildcarding, and then look at the fixtures, which we can discuss on the next podcast. But yeah, no, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to wildcard early, considering most people didn't have Haaland and Salah because they thought they're too expensive. It was a quick case of either or. I think Barry and I are both in agreement. They are both must-haves for the rest of the season. It's all about finding cheap players to work around it.
Yeah, no, for sure. But on the topic of what we were talking about there, if you weren't to have these players, I mean, there is a strategy of covering players from the same team. So a lot of people have gone for Diego Jota to cover Salah, or Luis Diaz, who scored 2 this week and has scored a couple previously. People, I guess, in the City camp might be looking at Kevin De Bruyne. I've seen some teams with, not Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, people like that. But yeah, is there a player, or Doku's a good shot, 6.5 for City. I mean, is there a player in City?
Well, I think Phil Foden we've underlooked. He's been ill and he's been injured, things like that. But he's going to come back into the team. He is going to help a lot covering Haaland. Szoboszlai for Liverpool. That's different team, but he seems to be the number 10 now for them. I think he almost was he the one who got like the offside goal or something like that? Either way, he's going pretty far forward. It wouldn't surprise me if Szoboszlai starts doing something. And then also something to override all that is that if you're not having Salah, then that does mean you have money to put back in defence. And Trent obviously had an offside goal ruled out. It looks like he'll be back scoring goals regularly again. His price hasn't gone up. This could be like, the season they won the league where Trent and Robbo are just great assets to have at the top 3 scoring defenders right now. So there is cover. I think when Foden comes back, and he's definitely covered for Haaland a lot. Doku, I'm not sure. Is he going to start? I think when Foden's back, only really him and Kevin De Bruyne are nailed on. I think there's going to be rotation between the wingers. I would have thought.
Yeah, but is there a player in City's lineup that does cover Haaland?
No. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, as I said, he's on 41 points. His nearest rival is Salah with 41. Luis Diaz has got 32, but he just got a brace at the weekend. So I think that's a bit misleading. Welbeck is second in strikers. Like, those two are just. And again, if it was their first season, let's say he had Salah just signed for Roma and Haaland just come from Dortmund, maybe you could argue with yourself, like, they've had a good start, but are they going to be consistent? They've just done this year in, year out. They're not going to stop, basically. So, yeah, they are very much must-haves, and then the game really will be this season, just around rotating other assets for good fixtures, really.
Yeah. Well, look, let's look at some of the wacky options, though, because I think it's important to have some off-the-wall suggestions. You never know, Jack Grealish to get back into the team. Rodri's always pops up with a few goals. I think the benefit, and let's talk positively, right? The benefit of not having these players is that you can spend your money more evenly across the rest of the team. Obviously, if they go off, fine. But I mean, you're sitting on Son from memory. He's a really cool player to own. Got
a bonus point, even though he wasn't one of the goal scorers, which I think is very telling about his abilities.
Exactly. So, I mean, let's think of some fun suggestions for in the City team that we could offer. I mean, I think Jack Grealish is a good option if he was to come back into the team. Don't you think?
Well, the fun option is actually Rico Lewis. Has he nailed down the second DM spot next to Rodri? Maybe.
Certainly, 4.6 as well. 4.6 million. It's really cheap for that defence. Kyle Walker doesn't seem to be anywhere near the team somehow as well. So, yeah, and on Liverpool, I think I tipped Dominic Szoboszlai before the season started.
He did.
I said that he's apparently being encouraged to push into the 10 role.
You were correct.
I mean, you can only have so many players, but I mean, is it him? I mean, out of Salah, if we take Salah out for a minute, we imagine it's Diaz, Jota, Szoboszlai, or maybe let's chuck in McAllister in there as well. Who'd you pick? Who would you go for? Who'd you want to go? I mean, you went for Darwin Núñez.
I personally have Jota now, and he was very unlucky, I think, not to get something. Luis Diaz, I personally would go for Jota. I think. I mean, it depends what you want. Luis Diaz is going to be very streaky. I think he might now just go on a run, but he's always been that player. He'll go on big hauls, but then he'll just disappear. I think Jota for your week in, week out is just going to do it. I think it's a like Kroos. I don't think anyone's got his eyes on him. I guess if the whole point of going not doing Haaland and Salah is that you want a differentiated team, then he is going to be much lower ownership. I mean, Jota, I think, is, I'll just look it up now. His ownership is 19%. Diaz is, well, his price has just gone up, so he's got a bit higher now. I mean, the one company club we haven't talked about, because I know Barry is loath to do so, is Arsenal. If you're looking at spending money elsewhere, they have definitely got some interesting assets outside of Saka. Kai Havertz, I think, has got the number 9 role locked down. He's again hit and miss, but he'll definitely score. Trossard, I'm pretty sure, is going to be the starting left winger now, and someone to have on your radar is, of course, the person they signed on deadline day, which is Raheem Sterling. Now, Raheem Sterling isn't going to start, but there's only 1 or 2 injuries away. He's got a point to prove. I'm not saying tomorrow, but keep an eye on him. At some point, he's going to be into the team. He's going to be playing every week, probably around November, December time, and he's going to do very well, I think. He's going to be a nice little, powerful differential around that time period.
Yeah, I think so. He plays on the same side as Saka, doesn't he? Or can he play either side?
So he's been signed, to play anywhere across the front 3. I think he is primarily Saka's backup. I think he's more of a natural. The reason why I think Arteta really likes Saka because he's just an out-and-out winger. He'll hog the touchline and all that sort of stuff. Sterling will do that as well, even though he is right-footed versus left-footed. So I don't think. We need to have somebody who's the natural winger in the team, and Trossard isn't really that. He's a sort of different. He's not like a Robert Perez sort of player. He's not a natural winger, although he plays on the wing. So I think, he's going to be, if Saka needs a break, somebody to actually hold the touchline, bit of pace. That will be Sterling's role.
Yeah, 6.8 million as well for Sterling.
There you go.
1.2% owned as well. I mean, look, I agree with you. If you got an injury to a player like Saka, he'd be a great chance to start, especially because he's very experienced in the Premier League. I think he's had it really rough at Chelsea with the manager. We won't shit on Chelsea from a great height too much more. We'll let other teams do that for them, I guess. But no, I think that's a really good shout. Really interesting to think about it in terms of not just covering the teams like Liverpool and City, but using that money to get greater exposure. I mean, you could be sitting on a midfield if you didn't have Salah, but had Haaland. You could be sitting on a midfield, Son, Palmer, Saka, and maybe Diego Jota, and then maybe chucking in Morgan Rogers or someone around that price bracket. And that's a pretty tidy midfield. But I mean, do you think that Salah is expendable? Right. So if you were only going to go for one, which one is one that you're not going? Because they both scored exactly the same number of points, 41 points, 3 games. Mental.
No, I think that's why they're both just indispensable. Everything Liverpool does attacking wise goes to Salah. Haaland is just the robot. We don't have to talk too much about that. But I think you very much have to own both of them. I think the other thing that you're going to have to try to work out is, you're going to have to accept at times that one of Saka, Palmer, Son, the 10 million mids, at some point you're just going to have to accept that they're not in your team, because I don't think you can have all of them, maybe, or maybe you can with some cheap, but the fact that the rest of the team's going to be very, very cheap. I think Arsenal players haven't got remember, Saka has got on points where they've had a tough start. It's the North London derby next week, which Rice is disgracefully banned from, but we won't go into that. Then Man City away. After that, Arsenal's fixtures from memory are pretty easy. So I think if you haven't got Saka now, that's fine, but you're going to want him for game week 6 when they play Leicester. And from then on, Arsenal's fixture list is very, very kind. You're going to need to have triple Arsenal for that run-in.
Yeah, agreed. I think they got Ipswich, Leicester, and Wolves from memory. Let me check if I got that right.
Well, we played Wolves at the start of the season, so it won't be them.
Bournemouth. Way to go. We got there in the end. Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth, and then you've got another tough run of Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, and then it's into a nice. I mean, mean, I saw this at the beginning of the season. Your first sort of 12 to 15 fixtures are relatively tough, but that means your run it is amazing. I mean, you got Southampton away as your last game. Imagine if the title comes down to that. You never know. Like,
long ways to go.
do you think you're out of it already after drawing at home to the
No,
Brighton?
I think it's too. I think it's too early to tell. It's just Man City just look scary, don't they? Haaland's hat tricks just look like he's just playing in the park. He's just such a machine. Yeah, I'm still going to believe, but yeah, there's a long way to go. I will know after more the two away games, London Derby and at the Etihad. We'll see what Arsenal are really made of there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. Well, look, I mean, I think that it is possible to go without these players. I think that's what we're saying, but you're just going to have to really stack the teams in other areas. I mean, we haven't even talked about Trent. Had a goal disallowed this weekend. Yeah, James referenced him last week saying it's one player he regretted not owning. It's definitely a player I regret not owning. But these are other areas where you can really bolster your defence and have some fun. I think really. I mean, that's the real. Maybe that's part of the whole ethos of what we're trying to do with this podcast to a certain extent, right?
In fact, and as you know, I always have to transfer in a player while we're doing the podcast. Trent is coming into my team now.
Trent is coming into your team. Wow, that's a big differential between us.
Yeah, Trent is coming into my team right now. Yeah, I'm finally going rid. I'm getting rid of Castagna. I'm giving Maatsen one more chance. I think it's absolutely astonishing that Digne is starting over him. I do not understand that. On 1 point, I'm 100k short, Barry. It's tragic.
Yeah, because he went down in value.
Oh no. All right. Well, I could take a point to it, I guess. Oh, that is absolutely tragic. How sad is that?
No, that sounds upsetting. I mean, there obviously are other players again there, but Matheson, I did see that he drops in value. I think that's pretty harsh, given that he's was an incredible player for Borussia Dortmund. It just kind of makes you think, why have they bought it? For the 25 million or so.
Yeah,
they're not going to play.
Well, either way, I'm bringing in Robertson, who's at 7 million, and then I'm keeping Maatsen because, as I said, surely he'll come into the team at some point. But I do not understand that signing otherwise. And so but Castagna, who never started in the first place, is gone. So that's I've gone Robertson instead.
Okay, cool. Robertson. Well, I mean that could be even a nice differential. What's his ownership?
His ownership is quite low, I think. His ownership is 5.9.
5.9. Wow.
Well, and he's only 6 million. He's only 6 million. He's only 500k more than Pedro Porro, who's quite well owned. Same price as Saliba. So Saliba's 38.8, by the way, for comparison. So that's that good because Robertson is really on the radar. He hasn't seemed to hit the heights of that season when they won the league, but nevertheless, he's still moving forward, and I think the Hall is around the corner at some point there.
Yeah. Well, so I've just actually done a draft whilst we've been talking to see if it is possible to get all of these players in. And the only player I've not been able to get in is the Spurs coverage. But I mean, given our performance against Newcastle, I wouldn't be, rushing in. So currently, at the back line, I've got my two current goalkeepers. And then I've got two 4.0s, or one's 4.5, 4.1, sorry. And then three 4.5 defenders. So they've gone real cheap on defence. It's Robertson, Davis, Leaf Davis at Ipswich. Go on, boys.
I was liking Leaf Davis. He got another assist at the weekend.
Got an assist, mate. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, they're going on a run. Then it's Palmer, Saka, Salah, Rogers, Semenyo of Bournemouth, João Pedro, and Haaland. And I've got a space for 4.8 million for a striker.
And I know you said you don't like it, but get a 4.5 million. There you go. It's done.
Yeah, exactly.
What's not to like about that team?
Lots of things. I wouldn't play the 4.5. It's way too rigid. I think the really important thing FPL is to leave yourself wriggle room. to do something a bit mad and to just go, yeah, fuck it, I'll put him in there, see what happens. Like look at who's got the greatest run coming up. At the moment, I think Ipswich's run is pretty good. I've talked about them probably a bit too much now, but their run is pretty good. Liverpool's run is pretty good. I might be thinking about getting another Liverpool attacker in, to be honest. I know Isaac scored at the weekend, but he's got Wolves next. Okay, Fulham. I probably will keep him, but I'm tempted to bin him and Nkunku off, and then get someone like Diego Jota in there, or even Luis Diaz.
Oh, you still have Nkunku? Yeah, he needs to get out of your team as quickly as possible.
Yeah, he's 6.3 at the moment. He's burning a hole in the pocket.
Oh, that's a bad crash. Yeah,
he started in the away game, in the Chelsea European game, and scored a penalty. Got 90 minutes and isn't playing in the Premier League. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, why Pedro got the Pedro Neto's game? They're not over him, given that Nkunku's biggest problem is that he's injury prone, and Pedro Neto's biggest problem is that he's injury prone. So, but either way, maybe he's not the manager's man. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if only they'd signed some replacement players to cover themselves. Who knows? Might be in a good place. Anyway, we've gone back, Stephen, to shitting on Chelsea from a great height. So let's not do that too much. But yeah, look. So I think what we're saying, it's going to be a bit more of a shorter pod this week, just because we're both away, and obviously with the international break coming up, it seems like we've got a lot of time to ruminate on our bad decisions or good decisions, depending on. But I think what we're saying is it is possible to go without these players and still have a decent team. It's advisable.
You're saying that. I'm not saying that. I think Haaland, Salah, and then just worry about the rest. I right now I do not see any way around that. I think wildcarding either the game week 4, or I'd recommend after the international break, have those two, and then the rest will sort itself out. I just cannot see a way of that changing. I agree with you, Barry. It's rigid, but it depends. Do you want to have fun, or do you want to win? I think that's the question you have to ask yourself.
Yeah, but I think my team's got quite a bit of flexibility, and I've got both players. I've got players at 5.5, 5, and 6 in the midfield, alongside 2 strikers that collectively are worth about 14 million. You could quite easily move those funds around to make it a bit more even and interesting.
Is there a way that we could wildcard our producers team and have it that team you suggested earlier, and see which one is better off as the season unfolds?
You mean wildcard Rita's team, our producer?
Yeah.
Well, it could do, but I mean, she had a smashing week as well. I'll put up her score in a minute, but Captain Palmer, which is the only issue, got 76 points. She's on 244 points overall. I think I'd have to double check. I'm pretty sure she's probably in the 100,000th, I would imagine, in the world. So we could wildcard her team. I mean, she has been complaining that she hasn't got Foden in there, but I keep telling her Foden isn't starting. She could play it. But maybe it's something to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
you could, as you're on holiday with our producer, you could ask her and see what she thinks.
I think might have to get her a bit drunk on some wine or something for that to happen. I think I might be anyway. I'll look up her position now in the world. The position in the world is 196,000. Incredible stuff. Captain Palmer should have captained Haaland. So, but I'll have a word with her. Make sure she understands her mistake the next time. Anyway, I'll be in trouble for that. So you've brought in Trent.
I brought in Robertson because I couldn't afford that. I was 100k.
Oh, you brought in Robinson, right? And is there any other moves you're thinking about? Are you getting itchy to the wild card? Have you put a roadmap together when you're going to do the wild card?
I mean, I'm just, so even though I've just said you can only win by having Haaland and Salah, I'm determined now to try to do as best I can without having either of them. I mean, I've got problems to be fair, in my defence, some of the things just really did not go my way. So Solanke got injured. Watkins started a bit back, but started quite slowly. Foden was injured. I've had a bit. Maatsen hasn't started when he should be doing. I've had a bit of bad luck. But my next game week looks pretty good. Most of my players are pretty easy fixtures, so I'm hoping to be a phoenix and rise from the ashes next week. I'm going to captain Watkins again, who's got Everton at home. If he doesn't bang in that game though, he'll be out the door.
Yeah, he's been really unlucky. I mean, getting sub for 60 minutes. He had that save against Arsenal, David Raya. What a save! I mean, that's
Yeah, yeah.
unbelievable. Like that, I think they had an XG. It must have had an XG of one. It must have done,
Mm.
or at least close to. But yeah, that's mental, mental. Um, okay, cool. In terms of me, I'm actually thinking about taking a -4 this week. So I'm not sure who for, but I think the players in the chopping block are Muniz at Fulham, Nkunku, and Mikalenko. And then Lewis Hall losing his spot is really, really annoying because I was planning to play him this week against Wolves away. But Lloyd Kelly, who's this same price, 4.5 million, is somehow getting picked ahead. So I'm a bit annoyed about that. But the players I'm thinking about bringing in are João Pedro, as I said, either Semenyo or Matoma. It's probably Matoma. But then I have to find a relatively cheap.
I would vote Semenyo. I think I mentioned it last week. He looks like he's playing basically a number 10.
But he's playing
Um,
Chelsea. It's fixtures. It's the fixtures. He's playing Chelsea next, and he's got a tough run of fixtures. I did look.
fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough in that case.
Chelsea, Liverpool, and then he's got Southampton and Leicester. I mean, what I could do is go João Pedro, Tone, drop Toma down to Semenyo for those two, because as we know, I am a fixtures man. Uh, but there we go. But look, that's it. What we're going to do this week, chaps. I know we did a quite long podcast last week, but we'll close it off for this week, and we will try potentially to do a podcast next week before the game week kicks off. But if we don't have a great game week and a great international break, make sure you take a break from over fiddling. Don't make early transfers like Stephen.
Mhm.
But yeah, Stephen, any other closing remarks? Wild shout, people to look for, people you're like, I wish I had, apart from Trent or Robbo this week.
Honestly, Davis for Ipswich. Oh, I'm fully bought into the hype now. The man was an assist machine in the championship last season, and yeah, he just looks good, doesn't he? He just
Yeah,
looks like a nice little tidy player. So let me just look at the fixtures again. I guess maybe Armstrong, who's got Man U, I think. Yeah,
Southampton.
Southampton, Manchester United, a lot on the south coast. Ten Hag under pressure. Oh, you can just feel the defeat, can't you? So maybe him or Brenton Diaz as a rogue shout. Another one who's a bit more expensive would be Eddie Nketiah. Does Eddie Nketiah come in against Leicester? He didn't register in time, but yeah, I would say Armstrong and Nketiah up top or Preston Diaz as some rogue shouts for this week.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I'm not going to kind of go in anymore there, but because I think they all sound good. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you have a great game week, and we will speak to you soon.